Hey good people, my name is Arthur Toole. I am the CEO of Grenada Nut Company, aka MegRelief, the best plant-based pain relief on the planet. But today really isn't about that per se. What I want to do is, and if you follow me any length of time, you know I've had the Restart podcast for years, but I also have been inconsistent. And the thing is, I couldn't really figure out what it was for. I think at times I was trying to just follow a trend, hop on a podcast and do that. But it didn't lead to where I wanted to go because it didn't feel authentic to me. But then a couple of things happened. A couple of people that I saw that were really big in the news, they're going out of business now, even though they were like just years ago selling courses about their business, doing all these things, scaling in the right rooms. And I don't mean that to cast shade on them. I just mean it as that I believe that a lot of businesses were a lot healthier than what they were. So that's one bucket. Then you got a second bucket is that I have a couple of friends now that life has just been upended. So they spent, 14, 16 years in one place, 27 years in one particular industry, gave it they all, have walked with excellence, trusted God for all things, just to have a huge transition to now they're going to be in a different space, like possibly going entrepreneurship, possibly have to look in a different industry, possibly have to look for a new job. And it's like, okay, if they go that entrepreneurship route, how do I help them? Not even me. How can they navigate it when all they see are the people that were in the first bucket, that are on social media, presenting themselves as if business is going really well, when in reality they are one breath away from being bankrupt? And then you have the third bucket, which is just me. I know that I wasn't committed to growing MegRelief, at least not how I was when I did Sift, right? I was kind of half in. But for whatever reason, this year I've committed to just doing it the way that God said to do it. And that's not because all of a sudden I've arrived. It's several things. One, the way he told me to grow it, I shared that with a few other people, and then they did it and their business took off. And it kind of reminded me of how when Uzzah died in the Bible, the children of Israel, they had the Ark of the Covenant, and then King David was taking it to his place. One of the guys who weren't supposed to touched it, trying to keep it from falling. He died. David decided not to take the Ark of the Covenant, the very presence of God, back home with him. He sent it somewhere else. And in those 3 months where I was somewhere else, God blessed that place. And it's funny, in the last 3 years, one of the people, a really good friend of mine, I've watched God bless their business as a result of them being faithful to what God told them to do, and then them implementing their business in the exact same fashion that God told me to do it. And so this year I was like, I'm either going to do it or I'm going to quit, and just put those kind of weird ultimatums. But I decided, what if I just did what I was supposed to do? Maybe God will take Grenada Nut Company and make it $1 billion business, maybe a multi-million-dollar business, maybe a bunch of thousand business, or maybe it's just for a season and it's gonna end. What does it matter? To God be the glory, right? And so that's what I want to do. So because of those 3 buckets, the way now I understand how I use the restart is the restart of trusting God in entrepreneurship and going about it the way that He has designed it, at least as I understand it today. And so I'll share that with you. I'll share the wins, the losses, the successes, the growth, things that I'm trying, what's going on. So that way you'll know. So like, for instance, do ads work? Do they not? Maybe they do. Right now, if you go on social media, everybody pretends that they do. They say, oh, I've made $50,000 this month, $100,000 this month. But what they also don't share is that, one, they may not have made the $50,000, $100,000 a month. 2, if they did they spend $70,000 to make that $50,000? That actually happens. So I want to be able to provide you with one space where it's just all the way true. I failed in business a bunch. I've succeeded in business a bunch, or a few. But this time, I'm walking hand in hand with what I believe God has told me, and I'm going to share that with you. All right? So every month, I'm going to cover 15 things. I'm not going to pretend that I have it all memorized. I'll be doing it here. So what am I believing God for? I'm believing God to guide me in the direction I should go as it relates to MegRelief. What I'm asking for is to have 400 sales a day, to average 400 sales a day in 36 months, right? 36 to 60 months. At the minimum, have about average 150 sales a day within the next 2 years. So starting from, let me back up. So for the next 3 months, I'm gonna finish all the outstanding tasks and things that are broken on the website and in the business, right? And it's nothing in the product. It's just like there's blogs I need to create. There's different ways I need to structure the website. How do I ship larger orders as they come in more? So those things, I fixed that. And then starting July 1st, that's when I go all in on the outreach and marketing, and I'll get to that later, right? And so 2 years from that point, my goal is to average 150, at the minimum 150 sales per day, ideally 400 sales of MegRub a day. And then by year 5, 400 sales of MegRub, 400 sales of MegRelief, 400 sales of MegSoak every day, and growing with no debt, with no outstanding debt or no outstanding and no outside investors. Okay, what am I doing while I wait? I have a 1-page marketing plan. So it consists of basically 8 things. One of those is optional. So optimize the website for Google and AI SEO. Engage trusted authorities for the Pain Relief University podcast. So what I want to do is, I'll never be a doctor. I have no interest in doing that. But what I want to do is engage those who are, and then bring them into my universe, have them talk about how they help people with various issues and with pain relief, and then connect with them. Not just so I can give them MegRelief, but also make Pain Relief University a place where people can come to learn about how to deal with their pain organically, right? Because I don't want everybody to have to jump to chemicals or opioids or surgery. Now they have a place that isn't like old and dusty that they can come to and rely on. 100 to 120 daily outreaches to like physical therapists, massage therapists, engage in other sites to reference our site, just things like that. Weekly email. So I'm gonna start what we call relief tips, where every week I'm gonna give a one organic and natural relief tip to help people, and that'll be pulling from the Pain Relief University and then from my own studies. Now, what everyone says that 30 or 40% of their sales for e-commerce businesses come from their email list. Well, we started in February 2019, and we've never engaged anyone on emails ever. So I'm very interested to see what happens there. Posting on social media once per day. So I tested that in February, I tested that in March, and I know we got at least 1 to 2 sales just off of posting. We averaged about 3,000 impressions on Instagram, and that's all I know, but I'll start tracking that. And then increase that to 3 times a day in July if I can offload a lot of the other things like the manufacturing and things like that. Attending vendor events, conferences, and expos. So we just started that back last month. So we did 1 vendor event, Women's Leadership Forum. We paid about $321 just to be a vendor there. And then we paid about $100, $150 just for all their supplies and stuff. And then we grossed $392. So that event last month was a loss financially. However, what I'm waiting to see is how many of those people actually come back and purchase again, because we've already seen two people purchase twice, and then they send us an email saying how they send it out to their family. So that may turn around to be profitable. So I'm excited about that. And then too, it got me back into the swing of things. I learned how to talk to people again because I've been doing everything behind a computer screen, and so it was too long-winded, right? I was saying like, oh, MegRelief does da 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 da. At the end of the day, the thing that resonated was I can give you pain relief without pills. Right. And then the other thing that I learned was having them try MegRelief on the spot, like, because everyone is going to doubt it because they'd never heard of it. But give it to them right then, let them try it on the spot, right? All of them came back and placed an order. So that shout out to Catherine, because she was the one that told me to do that. And she claims I told her, but I know I didn't. She told me, and it worked well. So I'll make sure I'll do that. Optional weekly IG lives. I'm unsure if I'm going to do that, but even if I do, it won't be this month. It'll be June or July. And then blogging. I know everybody says organic search is dead, but I don't believe it, or at least I want the data to confirm it. So I'm going to start doing that. Tracking metrics. I'm only going to focus on efforts, what I do. Right? And then I'll measure the results based on that. So my goal is to hit those things, not the goal is to have 10 sales a day and all this other stuff. But I said the original 150 in 2 years and 400 in 3 years and 400 of each in 5 years, because that's what I'm praying and believing God for. But how I'm measuring myself is by my own efforts. And I would recommend you do that too, because we can't control sales, but what we can control is how many times we reach out to people. What am I seeing? So, believe it or not, I've already exceeded all the sales that combined in 2025 in just Q1 in 2026. And I take that to be just a clear example of what happens when I trust God and then match my faith and my trust with my actions, like actually doing something, right? And so I put in more effort in January, February, and March of 2026 than the totality of 2025. What else am I seeing? I probably could have had more clinic sales if I had follow up. One of the lessons learned: out of sight, out of mind. So I reached out to one of the clinics that purchases MegRelief in bulk, just to reach out, and come to find out she had been out of it for a while. And she even said, we need to get this to quarterly. But she's a business owner. She's a clinic owner. She's not thinking about me. I have to think about me for her and for her clients. So that was a big lesson learned. Sales last month, good news. Sales for March 2026 was 551% higher than March 2025. Just tells you how big of a difference it was. Was the month profitable or not? No, the month was not profitable. We had a net loss of $1,808.88. But that's primarily driven by I had to hire 3 different consultants for 3 different things that were broken. Like QuickBooks was broken, hired somebody to help me build some back-end stuff on the website, and then I needed someone to help me compile all the financial transactions from inception to present. So those things cost like $400 here, $400 there, $500 here. So that's the real thing that kind of ate everything up. Repeat business, I'm averaging about 9 to 10%, which is low for e-commerce business, but really good when you think about that. I have not sent one email to anybody and to nurture them. So these are people that have just on their own came back. And even with that, for the first 3 or 4 years, if you Googled MegRelief, you couldn't find it. So it's really, despite the fact that you couldn't find us because someone else had our name, and then the fact that I wasn't engaging them at all on social media or in email. So 10%, I am very proud of that, but I want to get that up to where it's at least 50% in time. Number of people who have responded to my efforts, I don't have anything there yet because I hadn't actually reached out on a consistent basis except to get people to interview. And I've only done that like 5 times in March, but I'll start tracking that for next month. What distractions or struggles am I dealing with? Pitch competitions. I keep seeing pitch competitions to invite me to come and pitch, and it's very tempting, but I have to focus. And on the flip side, I'm also being invited to come and judge pitch competitions, which is very near and dear to my heart. Really excited about it, but it's taking time away from what I'm supposed to be doing. So I have to make sure that I say no to that. I'm not in the new shiny anymore, so any new ideas, I can now comfortably put that to the side, but that used to be a thing as well. So if you're struggling with the ooh shiny, no, that's normal, but we have to focus on the one thing and put all our efforts in the one thing. What will I do next month, which is this month, since this is the first of the month? I'll finish creating the content for both websites, MegRelief and my personal site, because I'm updating my personal site as well to make it more aligned with a business owner of MegRelief as opposed to a business coach giving business knowledge. Generate lists for leads. So Danette, Lauren, and Jathan are now helping me create leads, which is very awesome because I've been able to incorporate them into the business. And so I know that's going to go well. I've already seen results, and the kids feel good that they are contributing and getting paid. Delegate tasks to Danette. So I'm going to have her track the results of my posting on social media. I'm going to have her categorize and manage the QuickBooks, categorize all the transactions, and then track website results, like how much is the traffic increasing, is the bounce rate increasing, conversion rates. Show her how to do that, and then have her start tracking that so I don't have to. I can just look at that at the end of the month. What God has, so I'm gonna skip that one and come back to it. One major success is that I posted almost every day last month except for the last 3 days. And I didn't post on Monday and Friday, so that was really good because that was something I could never find a way to be consistent in. But I was able to find all of the old Pain Relief University podcast interviews, and I used those. And that increased the traffic from the site to like 100 to like 3,000. And so that was really good. So I'm really proud of myself for that. Failure. I didn't complete all the tasks I assigned myself for the month. And so one thing I'm changing as a result of that is that I created a schedule that I'm gonna follow, and I reduced the number of things that I'm doing a day, so that it allows me more time to focus on the few things. Myths posed as truth I learned on this journey. There are a lot of businesses that look like they're scaling and succeeding, but many just relied on venture capital and business loans. Now that money is dried up, several are closing their doors. Growing the business without debt or investors is harder, slower, and takes longer. But it allows you to keep your freedom. It allows you to manage stress better. Okay, it's just better. We just have to be in this, isolated for a while until the world figures out that we're here. But once they do, it's cool. But we're not doing it for publicity anyway. We're doing it because if you're like me and you found this, God called you to business to do something to help the people. And the revenue that we create, a portion of that is for us, but a portion of that is for the kingdom, right? And God will already put it on your heart on what that means, right? So the next myth posed as truth that I've learned on this journey is that the myth is that keeping a job will hinder the business growth. But that's just not true. It's just what people want to say because it sounds sexy. Oh, I dropped my job and I'm all in on business. No, it is actually wiser to keep the job, work the business in the early mornings or in the evenings until said business has grown. So not only does it take care of your salary, but it takes care of your salary, it takes care of your benefits. And for me, it has to do that on less than 20% of the profits. So if, let's just say my monthly expenses are, $10,000 a month, right? What I would want to see from the business is that 10,000 times 30, so that I cover the taxes, and that number equally to less than 20% of all profits, because I want to make sure I keep all salary and payroll to less than 20% of profits. Now that's ultra conservative and probably not something that most businesses would want to do, but what I have found is that in every space, the largest line item is employees. And so we automate, we replicate, outsource, automate, and delegate as much as possible so that when we bring somebody in, they are essential. And if we bring them in based on less than 20% of the profits that will be used for salaries, then we could weather the storms that will inevitably come because business operates in cycles. And then two, once we get to that number, make sure that we've been at that number for at least 3 months. The longer the better, so that way we're not jumping in and then losing a job. But don't be ashamed of having a job. I have a job right now, and actually it's a job that I really, really, really enjoy. It's the first time in a long time that I've had a job that I really, really, really enjoy. I get to help entrepreneurs be better at what they do, and I have a wonderful team. I have some wonderful peers, and it gives me the freedom to think about entrepreneurship all day. So it was like that position was handmade for me. So it would have been a time where I've been ashamed to say I have that in the business, but that's the path that God gave me. So don't be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed if you don't have profit. Don't be ashamed if you start small. Don't be ashamed if you have to work a job for the next 5 years. Just plant where you're placed, and then water that. Trust God to give it the nutrients and give it the sunlight. All right, that's all we're supposed to do. Plant and wait. Right. So I'm planting here, working a job, working a business, being a husband, being a father, and trusting that in God's season that I'll reap a harvest. Because His Word says that don't let me mess it up. That it's God that gives wealth, and it's without repentance, it's without sorrow. So if I do this God's way, I work as to honor God, trust Him, then it will grow in the season that He says it is. And when it does, it won't be painful, right? All right. So for you, here's what I want to say. One, if you've listened this far, you get to this. God has a plan for you. If He's called you for entrepreneurship and He had you find this, then I am grateful that I'm able to be a servant and example for you, okay? What I want to tell you is, you won't know 50 to 90% of any of the stuff that you're supposed to know. You will feel like you're overwhelmed, and you will try to go out there and get with these people that will pretend that they know stuff, and then you'll find out that they don't. You will find people that once you get some traction, that they will come along and try to steal your stuff, all right? You will have setbacks, you will have failures, and that's okay. Everything that you experience will be used to set you up for success. Everything. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. If your purpose, if he has purposed you to work in the field of entrepreneurship, all the things will bring you there. All the bad things that's ever happened to me, and there have been some tremendous bads, all of them. Now I'm old enough to see how they connect the dots. So that'd be for you. Now, entrepreneurship was thrust on you because of the economic environment. Don't be afraid. It's hard, easier said than done. Don't be worried. It's easier said than done. But God has you covered, okay? Just do what you can. Find something that you're really good at that people need. How much does it cost for you to provide that service? How much do you want to make from that? Add that on there. What is the industry rate, and see if you are on average, below, or above. And then proceed. Get you like 10 to 20 customers without charging them. Just give it to them, the service or the product. Let them tell you what they think about it, okay? Because that's where the thing is. We had 50 people that tried MegRelief that was not related to me, that did not know me before we did anything. And we had 500 customers before we put a whole plan behind it to really move the business forward, okay? And we lost money. But now I can stand 10 toes down knowing that my product that was given to me by God is a good product. May not be for everybody, but it is good enough to be amazing for those who do need it. Last thing, we don't own the business, okay? People will call us when they figure out how, they'll say when we're successful, oh my God, you're so amazing, you're the best at that. Don't believe the hype. You're neither the worst nor the best. You're a child of God doing what he called you to do, to give him glory. That's it. Enjoy the gifts and the fruit that he gives, but don't get caught up in what this world says about you, good or bad, because they don't really care about us, all right? Closing thoughts of Bible verse. I'm going to reference Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, okay? Start with Christ, keep Christ in the middle, end with Christ, all right? You do that, you're good to go. Bonus, manage your health, okay? Give up one thing that you know is unhealthy. Start there. And don't start with the hardest thing. Start with something that's slightly easier and then go there. Because if we do all this and die prematurely, what good was it? Okay? And I say all that because I'm working through that too. So I'm trying to give up the sweets because that has had a chokehold on me forever. All right? All right. Faith is conviction in motion. Faith speaks before evidence. Jesus often said, be it unto you according to your faith. You have to have faith, and you'll know if you have faith if you're able to work despite what you see. Know that I'm here with you. We're endeavoring on this together. I'll be praying for you. Please pray for me. And that's it. I'll see you next month.